Good afternoon, a very warm welcome from Koksijde here in Belgium, in West Flanders, as we get ready for the third round of the UCI World Cup Cyclo-Cross. Well, as you can see, the weather conditions are probably a little bit unexpected. Blue sky, sun is out, it's 8 degrees centigrade. It rained overnight. We've had a little bit of showers over the last hour or so. But things have dried up nicely, and so everyone is getting ready for what should be a very, very nice day by the North Sea on this 3-kilometre circuit, as you can see. So this is the Koksijde circuit that we've got used to as it crisscrosses around this, what is actually a military base here on the coast, as we race into the finish line on the tarmac. But of course, the characteristics of Koksijde is all about the sand dunes. It's about the most technical cyclocross event you can ride during the season. So we're going to start off with the Women's World Cup Cyclo-Cross as we take a look at the starting list today. We're actually going to have 37 riders take to the start line, 11 different nations represented. And there we are, a little shot of the sand that makes this circuit so much more challenging than any of the other cyclocross circuits that we see during the season. So there we are, we're running through the start list. We'll make sure that you know who all the riders are. As we've mentioned, 37 riders taking to the start. One notable absentee is Marianne Vos, who won in Valkenburg, World Cup round number 1. She took the victory ahead of Katie Compton, and next place was Nikki Harris, Helen Wyman in 4th place. And then we moved on to Tabor, and Katie Compton won that. She took that for the United States. And she does take to the start line today. So magnificent backdrop of blue sky as we take a look at Sabrina Stultjens of the Netherlands. Alongside her is the new European champion, that is Helen Wyman in the European champions colours. Alongside her, as we work our way along the front here of the starting grid, that was Ellen van Looy wearing number 26. Number 12 there is the leader, and there is Nikki Harris, the British champion, alongside the American Katie Compton. Wearing number 19 there is Pavla Havlikova, and they are the top riders so far in the overall standings. It's about 45 minutes of racing these riders will face, and they're on the start line now. A good study of Katie Compton in the UCI leaders colours, which are all white, as you can see. Perfect colour for cyclocross, isn't it? She wears that with the blue UCI logos all over the kit. She's over there, third from the right-hand side. Alongside her is Nikki Harris, and now we've got the riders underway. The charge will start. And these riders powering their way off now the start line. And we'll see as they go for this first right-hander, which takes them off the tarmac onto quite muddy little bit of field. You've got to get things right. The wind is coming from their right-hand shoulder when they work their way along here. And very important, of course, to get a very, very good start. So leading the pace now at the front, Sabrina Stultjens of the Rabo women's cycling team. Just behind her is Pavla Havlikova of the Telnet Fidea team, but now Helen Wyman takes over. Wyman now into 2nd place, riding for Kona. You can hear the riders clicking their way through the gears. A little bit of a start being well made here by Sabrina Stultjens. She currently is setting the tempo, and as you can see on this really strength-sapping climb, you've got to get your line absolutely right. But Stultjens is going out already, 13 in the rankings. And now onto this left-hander off the tarmac again. Katie Compton has not had the best of starts here. So it is Sabrina Stiltons now of the Rabo women's team who is opening up a little bit of a gap on Helen Wyman, followed by Havlikova. In fourth place is Nikki Harris of Great Britain, but this Dutch rider is making things look very simple so far. She opens up the gap on Helen Wyman there in the blue colours. You can see massive crowd around this Koksijde course as Wyman goes on. Surprisingly, to the right-hand side, she picks her route. Havlikova has had to get off the bike there, wearing 19. A little bit of a tumble for number 26 there is Ellen van Looy in the luminous colours of the DNCS squad over there on the left-hand side. And the camber, quite difficult along here. Van Looy's having a lot of problems. Compton now in the white as the UCI leader, having had a little bit of a difficult start, is now starting to make her way through the field. Sabrina Stiltons goes back onto the bike quicker. Wyman continues to run. She chooses to take a little bit more time. Nikki Harris has decided to ride her way through that, but she is surfing left and right there as she tries to get the bike going. But it does mean when she gets to the end of that section, she's going to have a little bit of momentum, which means she will start to close up on the leaders very, very quickly. But a very good performance here from Sabrina Stiltons. As you can see, the right knee a little bit strapped up at the moment, but her concentration fully on. Wyman in second place, Harris in third place now, Katie Compton in fourth place as she makes her way through the picture. Wearing number 5 there was Sophie de Boer. A few gaps starting to open as we see the American rider Crystal Anthony in the orange colours. A few more riders there working their way through as we take a look here from the high camera and into the trees now, across the top, and it's still Sabrina Stiltons, who technically is looking stunning today. Wyman now goes on to the drop-off, turns through the right-hand side as Katie Compton takes that corner very, very confidently. Huge crowd here, lots of nationalities in particular, because this course is very close to Great Britain. There is a massive number of British fans here who are being inspired by Wyman and Nikki Harris, and also the rider who now bases herself most of the season in the United States of America, and that is Gabby Duran. There she is as she comes around the corner right on cue. And jumping back onto the bike was number 4 there, Risa Hormus. So Sabrina Stiltons really is getting the measure of this course, and talking to riders about the course beforehand, they do say it is one of the most challenging courses in the world. I talked to Roger Hammond earlier on, a former junior world champion and a rider who, of course, rode so many World Cups and World Championships as a cyclocross rider. And he said to me that you've really got to look, you've got these trenches formed by the different races that have gone on ahead of you, and if you don't get your run-up to the sand right, or Sabrina Stiltons makes a few mistakes through there, then you end up in the rut that the rider in front of you has created, and therefore you can be going all over the place. And it's not to do with the control of your bike, it's purely to do with what's happened in advance of you getting to that point on the course. Katie Compton now looking very, very good as she confidently moves into second place. Sabrina Stiltons is starting to make a few little mistakes here, and does make a big mistake. And that's what Hammond told me earlier. He said you can ride onto the sand if you get it right, and your pulse rate, of course, is very, very high, then actually you can race through the sand to make it all look very, very simple. However, if you get the trench wrong and you hit the sand completely wrong, then you just come to a standstill and it looks like you've got absolutely no momentum whatsoever.
Wat wordt het hier bij het einde van de eerste ronde? We zijn nu
30 onderweg. Kicking that bike around a little bit, just tracking the wheels through there as Helen Wyman goes through into second place. Harris into third place. Stiltons is there, but Compton looks to be riding now much more confidently than any other of the riders who are currently in the mix. We go past the pits area. Havlikova goes for the pits there on the left-hand side. I think the shortest rider in this field throws the bike and decides to change as Katie Compton just spins through, looking very strong onto the climb. Jumps off the bike, throws it onto the shoulder, and Wyman is having to work hard to even get anywhere close to her. Well, a very good study there of Katie Compton as she trudges her way through the sand onto the descent now. Just kicking the wheels left and right and really working hard, letting that bike just do what it wants to do. And the rider there wearing number 5 is Sophie de Boer of the Young Telenet Fidea team. Going through there wearing number 25 was Sanikant, who is riding strongly at the moment, but it is the American rider, Katie Compton, the leader of the UCI World Cup, who is setting the tempo, and no rider at the moment is able to go with her. Behind her is Wyman, 7 times a British champion, the European champion. Harris is in third place. She is the rider who is currently 2nd overall in this World Cup. Behind them is Sophie de Boer, followed by the rider who led earlier, Sabrina Stiltons of the Rabo women's cycling team, as Katie Compton now makes her way on to the tarmac, and she has daylight between her and the rest of the riders. Across the line then, and it is Katie Compton leading. We'll see what sort of gap she has. The average speed on that opening lap, 20 kilometers an hour. And the gap here is 10 seconds, with Wyman chasing, Harris in third, Sophie de Boer, Sabrina Stiltons and Sanikant are the top 6 in this UCI World Cup round 3. And Compton just looks so composed. It's interesting how Compton had a little bit of a difficult opener to this race. She was a lot further down at the on the opening few minutes, but she's worked her way through the field very confidently. And Harris now, she has a problem. She is desperately trying to kick her way up through that trench. Sanikant now is the rider who has overtaken Sabrina Stiltons. And down the descent goes Katie Compton. You can just see how you come to a standstill and there is nothing you can do about it. Well, Katie Compton is doing exactly what she did in 2012 on this course in the World Cup. She won the race by a minute and just rode away from everybody else. Now the chase starts to happen, and Harris has decided that she's now got herself into this race, so she's trying to do something about chasing down Katie Compton. But there's a big gap now. It was 10 seconds originally, and Harris is going to have to work so hard to get back to her. But a little chasing group now with Harris, Wyman, Sanikant, and number 5 there. Sophie de Boer is the rider in the yellow colours. Wyman and Harris going side by side up this climb. And now Wyman, who is the stronger runner, is overtaking Harris yet again. It's interesting to look at the different wheel selections and tyre selections that these riders are using. We'll get a little bit of a chance in a minute just to pick some of them out. Noticeably, Helen Wyman riding with deep section, very deep section carbon fibre rims. She's got 46mm rims on that bike. Her bike weighing about 7.2 kilos. You'll notice Katie Compton. If you pick out her wheel selection, she's got much thinner section wheels. I think she's riding 35 mils, maybe even a little bit shallower than that. Wyman was telling me beforehand that her equipment selection is based on the theory that you've got some very, very deep sand to ride through, and she's ridden around the course, and when she'd actually raced around the circuit earlier on to warm up, you could see that the sand was reaching around about 30mm of her rim. So she decided that it's more of a kind of blade approach to cut through the sand. But Katie Compton riding total different equipment, and she's having no trouble whatsoever. Maybe the lighter weight wheels are working to very good effect. Noticeably, Compton is also riding with cantilever brakes. If you look closely at both Nikki Harris's bike and Helen Wyman, the riders are in second and third place. They're both on disc brakes today. Wyman's got some new prototype discs on this bike. They've got slightly bigger holes in the discs, which allows the mud and the grit to poke through. But they don't change your braking experience at all. But Compton is going retro. She's got the normal cantilever brakes on, and it doesn't look to be causing any problems whatsoever to her. Katie Compton now. The gap is starting to grow. It was 10 seconds at the end of the first lap, and she just looks down at her feet and continues with the effort as she goes now down onto the descent. Number 26 there is a rider in the luminous yellow, Ellen van Looy, Belgian rider. And it's a little bit of a tussle for second and third place between the two British riders. Helen Wyman, who is sprinting away across, she'll look away and she'll see that Katie Compton is just disappeared totally. Well, she's making things look very easy so far, isn't she? Wyman going to the right-hand side there. She, of course, won the Koppenberg Cross just a couple of weeks ago. And these two British riders are pushing each other quite hard now in terms of their form and who is the top British cyclocross rider. Katie Compton, without doubt, the best American cyclocross rider right now. And she is right now head and shoulders above the rest of the opposition in this race. She just looks so much faster than anyone else on the course. In this little group is Sani Kant, who was on form a few days ago. She won one of the Super Prestige races. She's now moved herself into fourth place on the course. Up the climb again, and at the front of this little group is Havlikova. Behind her is Anna Fleur Calvinat.
Come on!
Katie Compton back onto the bike, clicks the feet into the pedals. You'll notice that a lot of these riders choose to use the kind of egg whisk pedals to make things very, very easy to clip your feet in and out of them. As Compton goes down that descent, she had to just put her right leg out. But now we're we're seeing Sally Kant make her move. This is the rider from Enetherm, one of the Belgian riders, the national champion, wearing number 25 as she goes down the descent. Now Harris is trying to go with her, but Sally Kant now has decided that she's going to put in a little bit of an explosion, and she's now riding away from Nikki Harris and Helen Wyman. Harris hasn't quite got the measure of this course yet. She's ridden, I think this is her 6th time here at Koksijde. But so far it is Katie Compton who has 110 points in the UCI World Cup, having finished 2nd in the first round and 1st in the last round. Nikki Harris in 2nd place, 3rd in round 1. 2nd in round 2. Havlikova was 6th in round 1 and 3rd in round 2. Back across the line and 17.5 minutes completed. That average speed of that lap was even faster than the first one.
Dus 3 ronden moeten zij nu nog afleggen. 2 laps to go. Nog 3 ronden. En kijken, maar de voorsprong wordt groter hoor. We zitten nu al aan 18 seconden hier aan de aankomst. Daar komt
we'll see now what the deficit is. In 2nd place is Sally Kant, the Belgian champion. This time it is going to be a big advantage. It is 30 seconds on the line that time.
35 seconden. Dan krijgen we Helen Wyman. Dan krijgen we ook Sabrina Stoetjes. En met de druk nummer 5 krijgen we hier ook nog even gaan kijken op onze lijst.
Katie Compton goes kicking her way up that climb, and this time she doesn't even have to get off.
Nu terug van de partij en zit mee in de achtervolgers. We hebben 6
Havlikova out of the saddle.
voorbij zijn gekomen en we gaan naar meer dan 1 minuut.
Heading now to complete her lap.
Pavla Ablikova, die komt er nu aan. Pavla Ablikova. Dat is de dame
Havlikova looking comfortable in 7th place, but of course that rider from the Czech Republic is 3rd overall in this World Cup, so she really has to do something about this. As now Sally Kant and Nikki Harris are... Harris is finding that little bit of that top of that climb just a little bit difficult. Just has to take the foot out. And a bit of congestion now for the rest of these riders. That's the advantage for Katie Compton. She doesn't have to worry about anyone else. She's got clear track between her and the rest of the riders. And Sally Kant, the Belgian rider now, trying to get rid of Nikki Harris, and Compton having a problem there as a couple of people just decided to walk across the circuit and hadn't realised she was on her way. These two riders then, 2nd and 3rd on the circuit, being chased down by the rider in 4th place, and that is number 5, Sophie de Boer, who finished so far way down in the classification. She was 17th in the World Cup. She was 9th in round 1 and 22nd in round 2. Well, Sally Kant is one of the riders who can cause a problem for Nikki Harris and Katie Compton, who are the 2 dominant riders in this UCI World Cup cyclocross. But Sally Kant finished 8th in round number 1 and 5th in round number 2. She seems to be getting better and better all the time, and she really is starting to work very, very hard now. Well, a very appreciative crowd watching the Belgian champion racing away here to try and catch Katie Compton. Nikki Harris just finding the pace, making a little bit much there. She's unable to go with the acceleration of this rider from Belgium, who really is starting to rock and roll, isn't she? Harris looking like she is riding well, but finding maybe that little bit of top end, just a little bit too much. As now number 5 is into 4th place. That is Sophie de Boer, followed by Wyman. followed by the early leader, Sabrina Stultjens. Compton used to have a real problem with travelling a couple of years ago. She'd really struggle when she came over from the United States. It took her a long time to recover from the plane journeys. Now, of course, though, as the leader of the World Cup, she's basing herself over here as Harris gets that descent absolutely perfect. There's just a wall of sound through this area. Massive crowds in Koksijde for this World Cup cyclocross, and Harris also gets that climb perfect as well. Sani Kant is putting in a massive turn of effort to try and get away from the British champion as they go left and right and go down onto the descent. And with the amount of work being done by these two riders, they may well start to peg back the American. Compton very quickly back into the pedals, onto the descent. Doesn't have to go anywhere other than straight through the middle as Harris sprints away across to the wheel of the Belgian champion. Well, I was talking to Nikki Harris's boyfriend, Matt Bramier, of course, is a professional with Champion System. I was talking to him before the start. As Harris kicks the bike left and right, he was telling me all about the preparation of these bikes for today's race. Harris riding with about 1.2 bar in the Dugas tyres that she's got on this bike. And for those of you who are used to putting 8.5 bar into your tyres, you'd see just how little pressure these riders put in their tyres. Compton has a bike change, done very nicely indeed. Just hands the bike over and jumps straight back onto a clean machine. So yeah, riding with slightly different file pattern on the tread of these tyres to what she was originally going to ride on. It started to rain a little bit. This morning was really cold and crisp. It rained a little bit during one of the, I think it was the under-23 race, and therefore they've changed her tyres just a little. So she's got a file pattern in the middle. Now she goes for the bike change. Here she is. Kicks her way through here. She's decided she wants a clean bike, taken nice and easily. Her two mechanics there throw the bike onto her. She goes away to catch the rider in front of her. So each of these riders then will have 3 machines prepared. And they'll have on one tyres which are absolutely perfect for the sand. They have you'll see them if you try and spot. I know that's quite difficult here. They'll have white tyres with a really nice file pattern on them, which really track the sand very nicely. Then they might go for a combination tyre with a little bit of a tread pattern on the right-hand side and then a file pattern in the middle, so that if it rains and you've got to be able to just pick up through the mud, you've got the best of both worlds. But the tyre pressures are unbelievable. You normally expect a professional road rider will put something like 8.2 bar into a tyre for a lot of conditions, but here 1.2 bar is what Nikki Harris is riding on her bike. If you're wondering what that is in PSI, well, Helen Wyman is riding with about 17 PSI in her tyres.
De Britse kampioene Nikki Harris en Cathy Compton.
The completion of lap 3 then for Katie Compton as she races through.
35 seconden, dat is haar voorsprong. We gaan kijken of die nog vergroot is.
She has 2 laps remaining, 31, just over 31 minutes of racing completed. As we look, a little bit of a problem there for rider number 9, Monique van der Rey. So it is Compton leading, followed by Sunny Cat, who is now onto the tarmac in 2nd place. 2 laps to go, and the advantage has grown again as Harris comes round the corner, having had that little bit of a bike change. The advantage 42 seconds. So Katie Compton takes another 12 seconds out of the chaser. Nikki Harris now, with that bike change, has lost a few seconds. She's lost 13 seconds since the bike change. Next across the line will be Sabrina Schultens, followed by Sophie de Boer. And next across the line will be Helen Wyman in 6th place. 2 laps to go.
1 minute 17. 1 minuut 17 voor Helen Wyman. Met een tijdverschil van 1 minuut 17 seconden. En de aankomststoffen voorbij voor de zoon en zijn aantekeningen. Dat is in de
Oh, she got that absolutely right. Sani Kant going kicking over the top of that climb. Made that look technically very simple. That's so hard to do. This is Havlikova. As you walk across this World Cup cyclo-cross area, you'll be amazed if you come to one of these how many motorhomes there are, and in particular how many motorhomes the Telnet Fidea team have. There are an awful lot. I think they have pretty much one motorhome for every single one of their male riders. Nikki Harris then in 3rd place, the British champion, trying to hunt down the rider in front of her, Sani Kant, the Belgian champion. Katie Compton kicks her way back up the climb again, onto the bike. And look at this, she's in a pure white skin suit, white bike and everything, and there's hardly a spot of dirt on her. How hard is Sani Kant having to work? Look at that, kicking left and right, looking for that little trench on the left, going right over. So Katie Compton, that figure of concentration. Harris is having to work hard to try and get back to the Belgian rider. Harris with that 2nd overall in the World Cup. Really is going to have to try and catch Sani Kant before the finish. She has not been out of the top 3 so far this season, and the gap between Harris, Compton and the rest of the field is fairly substantial already. Of course, cyclo-cross, you can't make any mistakes at all. It can put paid to your entire race if you just push it a little bit too far.
In de 3e positie, de dame getooid dan ook en de outfit dan ook van Engelse kampioen, terwijl we nog verder in de achtervolging rekening moeten houden met de dames die zich melden dat zij...
Katie Compton on the climb yet again. Goes to the left-hand side, where as you can see it looks like it's flattened out quite a lot, so you're able to race quite quickly through there. 45 seconds between Katie Compton and Sani Kant is a big, big ask. But this Belgian rider is getting stronger all the time. Massive cheer then for the 23-year-old Belgian as she works her way up the climb. Head just going right and left as she puts in a big, big effort. Riding the same bike as just looking here at Katie Compton as she just jumps back onto the machine. Riding the same bike, I was going to say, as the Accent Jobs team. I've been racing this season, same manufacturer. Cruise to the left-hand side, to that little furrow that's been ploughed along the grassy section. So we're right on the North Sea here. The wind is blowing, as you would imagine, straight off the North Sea, right across the course, but not as cold as everyone would have expected. Katie Compton still lifting those knees nicely. Doesn't look like she's under any pressure, as the camera will shorten the gap between these two riders, but I think Nikki Harris is starting to come back a little bit at the Belgian champion. It's going to be quite an interesting tussle between those two riders over the last lap, as Harris tries desperately to keep the bike tracking and go all the way to the bottom without coming off. There we are, she's onto the grass nice and easily. These are the riders who are chasing. It is Sabrina Stultens, who led early on, followed there by the rider from the young Telenet Fladea team, another one of the Dutch riders, Sophie de Boer. And as you can see there, if you come to a standstill, you'll have massive problems, and Sani Kant is pushing it a little bit. She's trying desperately to ride through that section, but Harris is coming back at her. Koksijde, which hosted the 2012 World Championships. Not too far from here is one of the big military cemeteries where we commemorate the Battle of Dunkirk. A real tussle going on here as we see Katie Compton again go down this plunging descent round the right-hander. Not too slippy at all today. Nice and dry. Sabrina Stultens decides not to go to the pits as she opens up a little bit of an advantage now on Sophie de Boer. Sani Kant, in between the little technical sections, is riding very fast. You can't fail to be impressed by Katie Compton right now. Last year she was a minute ahead of everybody. This time it looks like she's going to be at least that ahead of the rest of the field. Sani Kant working those shoulders, just desperately trying to keep a little bit of a pitch of momentum as she kicks her way through there. We're going to come up now to complete another lap. One lap of racing to go. Katie Compton is the leader of the UCI World Cup Cyclo-Cross. She goes out on the course with daylight between her and the rest of the field. Here's our second place rider then, the Belgian champion, Sani Kant, wearing number 25. We'll see what the gap is between the American and the Belgian for second place. Katie Compton now just has to ride an intelligent final lap to bring this victory home.
We moeten nu aan 40 seconden op dit moment, 40 seconden. En Sani Kant is in die laatste
metertjes, without a doubt, has now started to ride away from Nikki Harris. Onto the climb again, Katie Compton has to just take 1 foot out. 1 lap to go for the second place rider. The advantage now, 58 seconds. The advantage to the third place, Nikki Harris. 1 lap to go now for Harris as she crosses the line there, and she is 1:13 down.
Dus dat betekent 16 seconden het verschil tussen Sanne Kant en Nicky Harris.
So just to give you a little bit of an indication of how this race has gone. At the end of lap 1, the advantage was 10 seconds. The end of lap 2 was 30 seconds between Compton, Sandy Kant and Nicky Harris. At the end of lap 3, it was 42 seconds. It had grown again. End of lap 4, it was 58 seconds. So Katie Compton just leaving the field in her wake totally. This is Helen Wyman now, the European champion, who will cross the line, 6th place, 1 lap to go. Pavlikova about to complete her lap to go out with 1 lap to go, 2 minutes and 18 seconds down on the rest of the field. It's interesting the way Katie Compton carries her bike, isn't it? So she just hooks the bike over her shoulder, puts the hand underneath and almost crosses it over to hold the bars so they don't bang around, so it's nice and stable. So let's give you the time gaps then. Katie Compton leads, Sandy Kant in 2nd place, 58 seconds down. Nicky Harris at 1:13. In 4th place is Sabrina Stilton's at 1:31. Sophie de Boer in 5th place, 1:33. And Wyman of Great Britain is at 1:56. Other riders in the top places. Pavlikova is in 7th. Loes Sells of Belgium in 8th. Mikulskova in 9th place. Chanel Lefebvre in 10th place. Second place rider then. Keeping that momentum going. Riding well, jumps back on the bike, chased down by Harris, who is looking here at yet again another podium finish in the UCI World Cup. She's got so close to winning this race on many occasions, but today this rider is absolutely on fire. Katie Compton accelerates around that corner, and she just has more momentum, more pace than any other rider on this course. So Compton started the season 2nd place in Valkenburg. She then took 1st place in Tabor. Helen Wyman, talking to her before the start, I think she thought she would do an awful lot better today. It has been a tough old day at the office for her. Way down the field for her normal situation, 6th at the moment. So far, she's had a little bit of an inconsistent World Cup campaign. Started in 4th place, finished in 11th last time. This time she'll be in 6th. So just need that consistency all the time. Marianne Vos, of course, not riding today. She is 6th overall at the start of today in this UCI World Cup. This crowd really do love their cyclocross, just cheering these riders on. And Compton, that bike that she rides, she just is able to just kick it left and right and just do what she wants with it. Harris now almost at the top of the climb, jumps back on the bike. Lives not far at the moment from Counthout, and trains with a lot of the professional riders around that area. And in particular, they've got a little bit of an area where they can actually train on the sand, not far from where she lives as well. So a lot of the riders have been out on the sand over the last few days, just trying to get their technique right, really working on it, thinking about tyre pressure. Compton then, as you can see, she's got all the little trick accessories to go with the red, white and blue colour scheme that she has. Oops, a little bit of a problem here for Sally Kant, who so far has got that climb and descent perfect. She just had to get back on that bike safely. As you can see there, Compton with the red shoes. That gave Harris a little bit of a chance to come back at the Belgian rider. Kicking her way through off the sand onto the field section. Well, this 23-year-old Belgian rider is looking very good in second place. She will move up on the overall standings. She finished 8th and 5th so far. This will be her top place in the World Cup of 2013. These two riders have had a real battle today, but it is the Belgian rider, I think, who will win this test against Nikki Harris. Our second place rider, Sally Kant. Third place now, going around that corner, is Nikki Harris. I read a very good blog by Nikki Harris this week. Oh, a bit of a problem there for Stultons, who hit the barriers. That looked quite painful. See the way the wheel just ticked across there, hit the barriers. So these riders now making their way around their final lap in this Women's World Cup Cyclo-Cross. Here we are then, in towards the finish. Here in Koksijde, it is the American rider, Katie Compton. Smile now breaks across her face. She has taken the victory. A fantastic performance from Katie Compton today. She started off a little bit steadily on lap number 1, but then we saw her get to the front, and then from that moment, everybody else was left in her wake. Back-to-back victories then for Katie Compton in the UCI World Cup. There's a couple of the chasing riders here, Sophie de Boer and Stultons, as they go onto this descent now. Onto the tarmac then, and it is the Belgian rider, Sally Kant, who is going to ride in second place. She does her zip up. She's been right on form over the last week. She takes second place behind the American Katie Compton. And we now see the British champion Nikki Harris as she rides her way up to the line. She's been consistent all season. Started with third, finished second last time, third place this time.
Met de Boer aan de leiding, voor stiltjes. En daar in die laatste bochten. Het laatste metertjes in het veld. Met nog altijd de Boer aan de
Well, consistency is always the key to be the top rider in the UCI World Cup Cyclo-Cross at the end of the season. And so far, Compton and Harris have been supremely consistent. Sabrina Stulton, she was the early leader, sprinting into the finish. Ahead of the rider wearing number 5, Sophie de Boer.
We zien daar een beeld van Afrikova, maar Wyman die moet dan toch in de laatste metertjes zijn.
Helen Wyman then making her way into the finish. She will take 6th place today, the European champion. She thought that today might be her day here in Koksijde. She was there, she was in the chase. She finishes 6th. Havlikova now, heading up towards the finish. She'll finish 7th place today. 2 minutes 42 seconds down on the winner, Katie Compton.
Die plaats 8 gaat innemen zeker. 7 dames hebben we wel gehad aan de aankomstlijn. Dus is het nu wachten op de volgende. Wie gaat het worden?
Number 20 there is Koksijde. So Martina Mikulskova will be the rider who's going to finish here in 8th place. And she's pretty happy with that, finishing in the top 10. She finished 20th in round 1, 13th in round 2. That's the best performance of this campaign. Behind her was Lucelles of Belgium in 9th place. And these two riders heading up to complete the race to make up the top 10. 10th place then is Ellen Van Looy, followed by Risa Hormus. Behind them is Lucy Chanel Lefebvre. And in 13th place, it looks to me like it will be Gabby Duran, another one of the British riders who will be crossing the line. There she is, she finishes now. 4 minutes and 7 seconds down. But there we are, there's the replay of today's winner, Katie Compton. Well, we are on a little bit of a military air base here, so there's a few planes land from time to time. A few little private planes also taking off. So the crowd have a little bit of a gap now. We will have the podium presentation in a moment, but they have the chance to enjoy the atmosphere, which is always fantastic at Belgian cyclocross, isn't it? The frites and mayonnaise is out. There's a few aperitifs around, and of course some of the Belgian beers. Always a great atmosphere. Confirmation then of the result, unofficial of course. Katie Compton wins, 43 minutes 32 seconds. Sandy Kant in second, 1 minute and 9 seconds down for Belgium. Nikki Harris of Great Britain in 3rd place. The early leader, Stiltons, finishes in 4th, De Boer in 5th, and Wyman in 6th place. And there is the rest of the top 10. There's the top 16 riders. Just shows how fast Compton was racing around this course. In 43 minutes, she takes 5 minutes out of the 16th best placed rider. A bit of sunbathing. The sun is out, why not?
Dus we wachten nu op de ceremonie protocolaire van deze wedstrijd van de dames elite. En we zijn nu...
Well, everyone's sitting around in the sand enjoying the atmosphere. And so we're just waiting then to hear from Katie Compton, the winner of today's race. We'll hear her thoughts as she takes back-to-back victories in this World Cup. Here she is.
Katie Compton, despite jet lag, a win by more than a minute. Did you surprise yourself?
I did. I had a pretty clean race today. I wasn't feeling spectacular, so I did a lot of running instead of riding today, but it was good. It's good enough. I didn't have any mishaps that were too bad. It was mainly the sun glare, so I'm not used to that. But yeah, just trying to hit the ruts and be smooth.
The sand, how did you feel the sand today?
The sand was hard. It was definitely heavier. It wasn't that wet, so it was hard to ride through. And then felt like I was a little bit lacking the power, so I didn't. I struggled riding it, so I just ran it. So it was hard on the legs all around.
Did you expect more challenge from the opposition?
Yeah, I did actually. I got off to a good start, and then I got a gap in one section. I just tried to maintain, and then make sure I had something left if I had to attack again. But I just got a gap, and I just kind of kept growing a little bit every lap.
Very comfortable now in that World Cup shirt?
Well, never comfortable, but I'm going to try to keep it and just keep racing well.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, a nice interview there from Katie Compton. She is now the leader after today's round in Koksijde. She leads with 170 points ahead of Harris, who has 140. Sunny Kant has moved herself there into third place with 111, overtaking Havlikova, who now is there in fourth place with 103.
En de 40 minuten en de lichten gaan op groen. We zijn vertrokken met een sterk start van de
So let's take a look then at the highlights of today's race. Katie Compton started steadily, but once she got onto the section and started to open up the gas a little bit, the advantage grew very, very quickly. Harris had a few little moments of almost coming to a standstill in the sand. There was a real tussle between her and Helen Wyman. But then it was the Belgian champion, Sunny Kant, who opened up the gas to try and go after Katie Compton. She never caught her, but what she did do was open up an advantage which put her in second place. Early leader was Sabrina Stoulton. She had a few problems along the way, but still finished high up. First place was Compton, second place was Kant of Belgium, third place was Harris of Great Britain. Here we are then on the podium.
Second
Nikki
place,
Harris,
tweede
the
plaats,
British champion, in third place. Very consistent so far.
Dan wie die de trofee gaat overhandigen aan Sanne Kant, de Belgische kampioene. En ook
Sunny Kant in now second place in today's race, and as we've said, will now be third overall in the standings.
Om die tweede dame dan ook extra te verwennen. Dan hebben we de winnares. Winner of the race. Uw applaus from the United States of America, Katie Compton. En zij krijgt de trofee van Nederland tussen de
Katie Compton then
sportieve stad aan
onto the top step of the podium.
Woordjes nog voor Katie Compton, de winnares van deze.
So far this season, second in the opening round and two first places.
En ook de bloemen voor haar. En uw applaus voor Katie Compton, Sanne Kant en Nikki Harris.
There's your podium then. Harris, Kant and Compton, the winner today.
En mogen we nu uw aandacht voor de nationale hymne van United States of America. Uw applaus voor Katie Compton, Sanne Kant, Nikki Harris als podium van deze manche voor de wereldbeker cyclo-cross dames elite hier in Koksijde.
The national anthem then of the United States of America. Katie Compton leads the World Cup after 3 rounds. 4 rounds left. Anything can still happen, as she said in her interview. You can feel a little bit more confident, but you've got to keep performing all the time.
Een applaus voor Katie Compton, Sanne Nikki Harris.
So it also gave us an idea of how this course is running, because the men's event is on in around about half an hour's time. So it gives you an idea of how this men's race might go. But magnificent performance again by Katie Compton of the United States of America.
Die wil eraan nog gaan guldig worden, maar eerst nog even de foto's van de...
Van het podium van deze halve.
4 more rounds, then we'll decide who will be the winner of the World Cup. As we wait now for the presentation of the UCI World Cup Leaders classification.
De leader de Coupe du Monde, dan Elite 2013-2014. Katie Compton.
Katie Compton then pulls on the UCI World Cup Leaders jersey. She'll take that to the next round. Well, thank you very much for joining me for the Women's UCI World Cup Cyclo-Cross here in Koksijde. Another great performance by this American. From me, Anthony McCrossan, thanks very much for listening. I'll join you again soon. Bye for now. welcome to the men's UCI World Cup Cyclo-Cross here in Koksijde. As you can see, the weather conditions haven't changed, the crowd's just got bigger. It is an incredible atmosphere now here, ready for this men's event as we look across the pits area. And this is what the weather's doing, 8 degrees centigrade, very sunny. The wind has maybe picked up a little bit, but the sand is pretty much the same condition as it was for the women's race, a little bit more rutted perhaps. As we look here at the course, 3 kilometers in length, and it goes out of the tarmac onto the field and then up that little climb towards the pits, through the sand dunes, and then back in towards the finishing area. Very, very technical indeed. The most technical aspect of riding cyclocross, going through sand, getting your tyre pressures right, getting your tyre selection absolutely right, and being able to ride through the trenches and ruts created by the rider who has ridden in front of you. Well, this massive crowd now are enjoying the sunshine. The Belgian beers are out, the frites and mayonnaise are well on order by everybody. As we take a look here at the previous winners of this World Cup, and also when it has been used as a World Championship. So in 2012 we had 2 races here, and Sven Nys was the World Champion and also the winner here in Koksijde as well. We didn't leave that caption up too long, but running through how things have also happened. Albert has won here, Stibar, Verwecken, Sven Nys has won here on quite a few occasions, in fact 5 occasions in total. Here's your standings then after 2 rounds. It is the young Dutch rider, Lars van der Haar, who is now the leader of this World Cup, and in fact has finished both World Cups so far in 1st place. A little bit of tree climbing going on as people try and find vantage points to watch the race. We're a couple of minutes away from the start. 54 riders will take to the start line. 17 nations are represented as we tick our way through the various different squads. Of course, as with the UCI World Cup Cyclo-Cross, the same as the women, the riders will be in their various different team kits, so we'll pick them out as we go. Hive of activity then on the start line as we see the French champion Francis Mouret there on the left-hand side, getting himself ready for action. And all these riders getting themselves lined up. Number 4 there is Kevin Pauwels, who was 2nd in Valkenburg, alongside number 5, Bart Arnouds. There's the world champions, Sven Nys, as we take a look at his bike in the World Championship colours. Alongside him is Lars van der Haar, wearing number 20. Very, very strong field for the 3rd round of the World Cup. And the charge off this start line, I think, is going to be very, very rapid indeed.
Mensen van de UCI staan er nog. Dat zijn de enigen die nog op de weg staan. En dan het rode licht. 30 seconden. Franse komt 30 seconds.
Loss of concentration then, about 30 seconds now from the race start. As you can see, the flags of Flanders flying on the left-hand side of this finishing straight and start straight. Very windy now. Here we go, they're underway, the feet are in the pedals, and it's an almighty charge for this first right-hander off the tarmac, and it is Sven Nys and Van der Haar who are going neck and neck, but the first rider, as they go through that corner to a screech of brakes. It looks like it's the Belgian champion, Klaas van der Noot, who is the first rider who gets round that corner. So it's Van der Noot with Lars van der Haar in 2nd place, followed by Sven Nys in 3rd place. The world champion looking for a little bit of clear track as rider number 21, Thies van Amerongen, goes through to try and catch Sven Nys. Everybody lining up on the wheels. Big group of riders. Klaas van der Noot leads. Lars van der Haar in the UCI colours. He's in second place. They go kicking over the top of that little climb very nicely indeed. A little bit of congestion as they go now down through this rutted area. And the Belgian champion, third in 2009 here, goes accelerating away onto the grass. Well, Katie Compton, of course, won the women's race. Got a chance to talk to her in between the women's race and the men's race, and she was very, very happy with her performance. As Van der Noot lines things out. Lars van der Haar in second place. This incredibly strong young Dutch rider, 22 years of age, rocking and rolling a little bit with his shoulders, keeping that momentum going, looking good. And Sven Nys in third place as they go up to the sand, and Lars van der Haar goes to the right-hand side, and look at that. He's going to ride all his way up the dunes, looking so good, and he is leaving the rest of the riders in his wake. This young Dutch rider, now he gets off, and it's only at the very, very end of the climb that he decides that it's time to get off the bike. And Sven Nys is tracking him all the way. So it's Lars van der Haar as they go off the top, the crowd making massive cheers now, and van der Haar is looking supreme. This young rider is so talented. He won the under-23 Worlds here on this course, you may remember. And now Sven Nys has decided to give the young pretender a little bit of a kicking through that left-hander as he tries to accelerate. In third place there is Koen van Kessel of the Netherlands, as other riders just try and stay in the wheels. You've really got to get yourself feeling right on the top of your game here. It's almost like going out on the first lap of a pursuit. You have to go flat out. Your pulse rate is right up at its maximum. And Sven Nys is trying to ride Lars van der Haar and Van Kessel off his wheel. Look at that as he dive bombs through that rutted section, and van der Haar is tracking him. Looks like Niels Albert is striving to come across as well. Lars van der Noot with, listen to the crowd. It's incredible. It's so noisy. As Sven Nys goes all the way to the top of the climb and doesn't even have to get off, but he does have to use the barriers. But he consistently stays in the bike. Look at that. There goes van der Haar in second place. This is what cyclocross is all about, isn't it? Well, Sven Nys has got himself back onto some form now. Lars van der Haar trying to stay in the wheel of Sven Nys, but Nys looks like he really is looking today like he wants to win this one. Onto the climb again as he accelerates really hard. Now he has to get off the bike, and that gives van der Haar the opportunity to come back at him. Van Kessel is the rider in third place. He's in the blue and yellow. Pick him out as we go dive bombing down this little climb. Fourth place rider is Vixie Bosmans. Francis Moret, the French champion, is also up there, but van der Haar's having to sprint flat out. Wearing the white as the UCI World Cup leader, unbeaten so far this season. Lars van der Haar, the boyfriend of the double world junior champion Lucy Garner of Great Britain. I saw Lucy about 20 minutes ago. Had a quick chat to her. She's playing Soigneur today. She feels under a little bit of pressure. She's having to get his bike and everything and look after him. And he's so focused. She said, right, it's nice to see I'm going to have to go because I've got to make sure I get to the bike in time. And right on cue, van der Haar goes on the attack. Through the pits area, and van der Haar looks round to see daylight between him and Sven Nys, who somehow has decided he isn't going to go with the acceleration. That didn't look too much fun, did it? T-Sal was the rider who went head first into the sand, as Lars van der Haar now has started to accelerate. Somehow he's just leaving everyone behind. So impressive. He's so much slighter than any other rider. As you'll notice on the bike, if you take a really close eye, you'll pick out who's on the cantilever brakes, who's got the disc brakes, and Van der Haar is on the disc brakes. I don't know if Sven Nys has got a problem here, because he was really leaving everyone in his wake, and now suddenly it's almost like he's not able to go with the accelerations and moves. I don't know whether he's gone into the red zone too quickly, but he just looked very good on the initial laps. Oops. Now that's what you don't want to do. T-Sal is not having a good time. Those mechanics in there are always so careful, and one mechanic just not paying too much attention, walking back as T-Sal tried to ride through, and of course he is rightly very, very annoyed. Coming to a standstill, and what the mechanic won't know is that he also had that crash earlier on in the lap. Right, as we make our way around to complete the opening lap, and it is Lars van der Haar of the Netherlands, the under-23 world champion, with an opening lap of 7 minutes and 30 seconds, who is with Van Kessel. So it's Van Kessel, Van der Haar, Thies van der Merongen, Vitsi Bosmans. Sven Nys is now 7 seconds down. Klaas van Tenoet, 6th place, 7 seconds down. Francis Moray, Niels Albert. That is the top 8 places so far. I don't know whether Sven Nys is letting everyone else do some of the work, and he'll sit in the wheels and come back later, but surprised how much he's faded in that last little bit of that lap.
Dan hebben we ook Tommeke Meijsen. Die vooraan Corné van Kessel.
So Van Kessel goes left hand through that corner. The two Dutch riders dominating this race at the moment. Both 22 years of age. Not teammates as far as their pro squads are concerned. Van Kessel rides for this Telenet Fidea team. Lars van der Haar rides for Rabobank. Interestingly, they both have birthdays very, very close to each other. Van der Haar's birthday, the 23rd of July. Van Kessel's birthday, the 7th of August, just about 2 weeks between the two of them. Well, as you can see, the size of the crowd has swelled considerably. Everyone's been around the course. They've all got here in time for this race, but this young Dutch rider looking good as he leaves his teammate, his Dutch compatriot behind. Sven Nys now is starting to move again. Maybe he just went over the top in that initial move. Number 21 is Thies van der Merongen, in the colours of AA Drinks. You may remember them as a sponsor of a women's team, which included Lizzie Armistead, Sharon Laws, and many other riders, as Lars van der Haar almost slid the bike out through that corner. But Van Kessel leads ahead of the man who is unbeaten in this World Cup, followed by 21, Thies van der Merongen. Behind him is Klaas van Tenoet, the champion of his country. A few other riders making their way through here. A load of the teammates there. Radomir Simonek, Martin Bina, Czech Republic riders. Well, to massive shouts from the crowd, Lars van der Haar is now being caught by the chasing group, and it's still Van Kessel who has the advantage. Past all the British flags who are out here to cheer on in field. Van der Haar, followed by number 21, Ties van Amerongen. Also up there, Klaas Vantenhoek, wearing the champion's colours. The German champion also makes his way up towards the top of the climb. That's Philip Valsleben. Well, Van Kessel is just riding away from everyone at the moment. Van Kessel finished 10th in the first round, finished 9th in the second round. He's currently 10th overall, 9th overall in this World Cup. And so far is looking like he's found a rich vein of form as he goes down this descent to the audience on the left-hand side are in that kind of theatre that's been created as they all stand around the barriers, 4 or 5 deep, lots of photographers in this area. Francis Mouret, the French champion, now starting to make his way through the field. 22-year-old then, working hard, lifting those pedals nicely. Sven Nys is starting to fade back a little bit. The world champion, Van der Haar, just concentrating hard on the back wheel of Van Kessel, who's kicking it all over the place here. Van der Haar has to take the foot out the pedal and right that one a little bit. This is where we saw the Dutch woman rider in their race have a little bit of a problem, and she kicked the bike right-hander. Niels Albert starting to move up. Klaas Vantenhoek also up there. But Van Kessel looking around to see his countrymen trying to shut the gap. Sven Nys, followed by Francis Mouret, followed by number 5 there, Bart Arnouts. The Swiss champion also now making his way up towards the chase that's happening. Oh, with a little bit of effort there, Lars van der Haar is starting to close the gap, and he does, look at that. He catches Van Kessel, and now he's going to ride away onto the descent, making Van Kessel struggle a little bit as he makes a couple of mistakes, and suddenly this race is going to change.
Come on, Bert.
The leading rider then, Ties van Amerongen, another Dutch rider, takes the head of the race, followed by Lars van der Haar, followed by number 22 Van Kessel, followed by Niels Albert, who is looking a bit ominous now as he moves up. Klaas Vantenhoek, the Belgian champion, also up there now. The German champion, Philip Valsleben, the under-23 world champion in 2009, moves into the wheels. Things are settling down a little bit. Sven Nys moves up for his look again at the lead. Maybe he's just decided to let things calm down somewhat. Francis Mouret, the French champion, goes through, followed by the Swiss champion, that's Julien Tamarakac from the BMC mountain bike team. 7 laps of racing to go, 2 laps completed, and that lap was done in 7:26, 4 seconds faster than the opening lap.
In Koksijde. Ruime 15 man beheersen verlopen dan ook.
Deze derde manche van de wereldbeker inderdaad even
I found that lap was very fast when you look at it compared to the opening lap. So Ties van Amerongen was the rider who was through that line first that time. Niels Albert up towards the front as these riders go rumbling through this section. Now we see the attack of the rider trying to make a little bit of a move, and it's Niels Albert who is trying to break away. Well, As normally happens in men's cyclocross, you get this incredible cavalry charge at the beginning. Then you get a couple of attacks, then things settle down, and then suddenly everyone starts to attack again over the hour or so of racing that we normally see. And now it is Niels Albert who confidently has a little look around to see Klaas Vantenhout in second place. Lars van der Haar has dropped down into fourth. It's going to be a little bit of a tactical one this today. Niels Albert riding his way all the way to the top here, looking technically very gifted. As the German champion makes a move over to the right-hand side and puts in a big attack. So the under-23 world champion from 2009, Philip Valsleben, goes to the front. He is second overall in this World Cup at the moment, having finished third in the first round and second in the second round. Consistently good. Sven Nys is not having it all his own way. A couple of riders coming to grief there, in particular Kevin Powles in the red, white and yellow of the Sunweb team. Philip Valsleben then going for it. Riders finding the temperature pretty hot. There's a few faces being pulled here. Bart Arnoux goes through the picture, followed by number 38, and that is Marcel Meisen. This German rider starting to open up a little bit of an advantage on the rest of the chasers along the top, and then dive bombs down to the base of that descent, followed by Klaas Vantenhout, followed by Niels Albert, then Lars van der Haar. As a few excited spectators in this mini theatre that's been created around the sand dunes. Klaas Vantenhout, you can pick him out, can't you, with the yellow shoes, very easy to spot. Lars van der Haar, one of the only riders in the first few to be using the disc brakes. So Valsleben goes through with the cantilevers on, so is Vantenhout. Things starting to change in bike racing, in cyclocross. Goes through there, Tom Musen of the Telenet Fidea team. Sven Nys is still hanging back a little bit. Valsleben goes to the top of this this climb. Valsleben then continues with this effort. He had his birthday 4 days ago, so maybe a little bit motivated to give himself a bit of a birthday present. You saw the amount of sand being kicked up by that bike and see how rutted these dunes are now. Sven Nys is going to have to do something pretty special. 5 times a winner here, the world champion. He's been right on form as Valsleben lines everyone out, and look how much he's having to left and right the bike just to keep the bike on track. Vantenhout goes through the picture, followed by Niels Albert, and Valsleben looking very strong indeed. Niels Albert, twice a world champion. He's won here in Koksijde in the World Championships before, so he knows exactly what you need to do on this sort of course to take the victory. Onto the climb, and a trio now making their way off the front. Valsleben followed by Vantenhout, followed by Niels Albert. Behind them is Lars van der Haar.
in de tweede positie. We zijn inmiddels op die we een ruime 5 minuten geleden al eens die voorbij getrokken. En de nummer rode tijd van 7 en de 7 minuten.
Katie Compton said in her interview that the one big bit of trouble she had was the amount of sun there is on this course. And as the sun now starts to drop a little bit, it's just going to get worse and worse. Slaven on the front, Antonin in second place as we watch one of the Sunweb team, Kevin Powell's, dive down that descent. Vantanoot was the early leader. He seems to have recovered and found his way into the group. Number 21, Van Amerongen, is the rider there on the front, trying to shut the gap with Van Kessel, with Sven Nys. But we have now a group of riders tracking nicely, about 5 riders, 6 riders in this front group. Back out onto the road surface to complete lap 3, 6 laps to go. 22 minutes of racing completed, and that time, that was fast, 7 minutes and 9 seconds. That is the fastest lap by 17 seconds so far. So Niels Albert was the leader that time of that 6-man front group, and Albert now has decided that it's time to try and stretch things out and make sure the second group don't come back.
Die nu oproept naar de leiding van dat achtervolgende groepje met Sven Amerongen.
So we're going to get 9 laps of racing today. Sven Nys leads this group of 4 with Francis Moret, the French champion. But Niels Albert's looking pretty good. Lars van der Haar sitting in 3rd place.
Van zijn teamgenoot dat ook overgenomen. En dan de snelheid kunnen toeleiden als de tijdensnel ten opzichte van de achtervolger.
I was talking to someone about Sven Nys's training the other day and the amount of road work he does. And I was being told, don't think that Sven Nys will just go out and ride 1 hour, train himself to ride an hour. He'll do 200k a day. He does a load of gym work, and then he does his real big efforts, technical training to make sure he's incredibly strong. When you think back to Sven Nys's career, he's one of the oldest riders in this peloton. As Klaas Vantanoot takes a tumble, wearing number 2 there on the right-hand side. Lars van der Haar comes to a complete standstill. A moment of change in this race as we see Niels Albert in 2nd place there. I think it's Tom Musen. I didn't quite see him make his way through the camera that time. Tom Musen of Telnet Fidea, the Belgian rider who also comes from near Kalmthout. The leading rider then, wearing number 9, and it is Tom Musen of Belgium, followed by Niels Albert with the World Championship bands on the jersey, followed by Valsleben, followed by Lars van der Haar. Behind him is another one of the BKCP team, that's Vitsi Bosmans. So this was the problem. He took more than a tumble. That's 2 riders we've seen do complete face plants today. A duo making their way off the front now. And it's Albert and Musen who are going shoulder to shoulder. Musen's been pulling faces all the time. Now the chasing group. Led there by Valsleben again with Lars van der Haar. There's a few mistakes being made.
vooraan een Niels Anders samen met de maat Julia Opmeester. Het is erbij. Zo proberen ze op dat moment verder uit te lopen dan ook langs
Lars van der Haar senses a danger and has decided he's going to have to go to the front here. As we track Niels Albert up the climb, he jumps back onto the bike, followed by Tom Musen. I was last night out for dinner before the event with the event organisers, and one of the women on the table was telling me she comes from the same village as Tom Musen, and everybody else said that this week Musen was being trained specifically in her little village to ride on the sand, to try and learn how to ride in these rutted sections. You can see he's pulling faces. He's having to work so hard just to stay with Niels Albert, who has won here before. He's technically very good in the sand, and he's able to almost just whip the back wheel of the bike around, looking for any little bit of grip that he possibly can. But Musen's been having to work really hard at his skills in the sand, and it's now paying a few dividends with second place in this race so far. Musen so far finished 6th in the first round. Didn't get anywhere in the second round. I think he actually didn't race. So he is way down the standings. He's 24th overall. But with this performance, he's starting to look good. Albert's having to hold on to the barriers and use them to just keep his momentum going. Lars van der Haar has been the rider who has dominated this World Cup so far, the 22-year-old from the Netherlands. Lives, what, 3 hours from here? Has been unbeaten so far. Philip Valsleben is 3rd and 2nd so far. Kevin Powles, who's not really figuring today, 2nd and 3rd so far. Van Tenoek is in 4th place. Musen's really having to work to try and come back, but these are the two riders who are losing most. Valsleben is 2nd overall in this UCI World Cup. Lars van der Haar is the leader. Niels Albert is way down the standings in 6th place, but with this performance we could see him move right up. 5 laps to go. Albert leads, 6 minutes 55 was that lap. He is accelerating, he's not slowing down at all. That is a punishing last lap. Niels Albert with 6:55. Second place riders Tom Musen 7 seconds down. Lars van der Haar, Sven Nys, Philip Valsleben, all at 22, 23 seconds. So now Sven Nys is the rider who's had to go to the front of that group and see if he can track things back a little bit as we join up with Niels Albert through the left-hander. One thing I noticed about Niels Albert's bike before the start is, if you look really closely, he's got a normal Colnago bike, but if you notice in the triangle section where the down tube is, he has a curved little section of carbon fibre, which means that when he puts the bike on his shoulder, it kind of curves around his shoulder a lot more carefully and probably makes carrying the bike a little bit more simple. Also doesn't bang on and off his shoulder either. So all these little trick things, important to just keep an eye on for cyclocross. You think just get a cyclocross bike, just go out and ride. But these professionals at this sort of level, they spend a long time. See there? So he's put the bike right on the back of his shoulder, and there's that little carbon fibre section just between the top tube and down tube that will just make things sit nice and easily. It's a constantly evolving scenario in the chasing group. Sven Nys, having set the pace for a little while, has now dropped back a little bit, and it is Lars van der Haar who decides he's got to try and do something to shut the gap on the riders in front of him. Tom Newson, mouth wide open, gulping in the air. Being tracked very closely now by Lars van der Haar and Philip Valsleben, as we watch Niels Albert head the race. Interested to know what's going on ahead of Sven Nys at the moment. He so far has not figured very much in this World Cup. He's way down the standings in 37th place, finished 29th last time, or 22nd last time, sorry. The thing about Sven Nys, though, is he doesn't have an awful lot to prove anymore. 37 years of age, 5 times a winner here, multiple world champion. He's probably the most popular cyclo-cross rider in Belgium. You can tell how many people just come out and watch him. It's incredible. This race then first held in 1969. The first event was won by Roger de Vlaming. It's got an incredibly rich vein of history if you go back and read all about it. Oh, Tom Newson somehow is staying on the bike. All the big names have raced here, and it is the famed cyclocross with the sand. The atmosphere is also unlike anything else you've ever heard. Tom Newson looks like the efforts of trying to go with Niels Albert are starting to hurt. Niels Albert won the World Championships here. Sven Nys won the World Cup. And Albert is making short work of these little climbs now. Albert won also here in 2010 in the World Cup. He beat Zdeněk Stybar into second place. Sven Nys was in third place that day. Other riders who've won here previously, Zdeněk Stybar, who's now got such a magnificent career on the road. Erwin Vervecken, who's just retired. He's won here on 3 different occasions. In fact, sorry, 5 different occasions. Goes way, way back. Other riders who've won here, Richard Grönendahl. Sven Nys has won as far back as 1999. Lars van der Haar now catches Van Kessel in front of him. overtakes him and is now going to try and go past as Tom Musen desperately tries to hold off the flying youngster from the Netherlands. You wonder whether that little bit of a tussle between Van Kessel and Van der Haar has put paid to their effort. 4 laps to go.
Voor de onbetwistbare leider op dit ogenblik, Niels Albert. En kom mensen, die moet nog de baan opdraaien hoor, dus die voorsprong die vergroot. Dus de voorsprong van Niels Albert wordt groter en groter. En we gaan kijken, we zitten nu al aan 20 seconden.
Approaching 37 minutes of racing, 4 laps to go now for the second place rider. Tom Musen goes out on the course, 28 seconds down on Niels Albert, with the rest of the chasers led by Lars van der Haar at 33. The placing through the line that time, Niels Albert, followed by Tom Musen, followed by Lars van der Haar, Korn van Kessel in 4th place, Vitsi Bosmans in 5th, Klaas van Tenoet in 6th place, Moray in 7th. Sven Nys down in 9th place now. Van Tenoet goes through. Tom Musen is still holding on to this 2nd place, but it's a slender advantage back to Van Tenoet with Van der Haar sitting there. Sven Nys still somehow at the back of the group. He's fought his way back into the string. Niels Albert, he just tracks that bike so nicely. Just lets it go left and right, doesn't fight it. Picks it up nice and quickly. Remember, 6.8 kilos is the weight limit of the UCI. Some of these riders choosing to have bikes that are around about 7, maybe 7.2 kilos now. Certainly in the women's race, Helen Wyman's bike is around about 7.2, and there's been some comparisons made with Sven Nys, who's trying to get his bike to have the disc brakes on it, but to also get it as light and as close to 6.8 kilos as he can. The lap times then for you, 7 minutes 30 for the opening lap, 7:26 for the second, a blistering 7:09 by Albert when he opened his advantage, followed up by an equally blistering 6:55, the fastest lap so far, and then calming down a little bit now to 7 minutes and 3 seconds. That was a good opportunity for you to see Sven Nys now having problems as he had to shoulder the bike. Good opportunity. Oh, he's got a really big problem now. He's having to just stand there, check the bike. Here is Albert as he goes over the top. Back onto the descent again. Notice that Sven Nys is also riding similar bike with the carbon fibre, a little bit of filled-in section. There's some pretty excited spectators in here, aren't there? They are thoroughly enjoying this race. Tom Musen now caught. Sven Nys on his own as he sprints up the climb. He goes off the bike very quickly. But this is the leader, Niels Albert, world champion twice, in 2009, 2012, and importantly, he's been the world champion on this circuit. He loves racing here. Today is one of those days where you don't have to ride through the mud and the rain. You can just concentrate hard and race fast as he uses that right leg to just keep some sort of traction going. Vantanu in second place, goes down the descent, followed by Musen, followed by number 22, Van Kessel, followed by Lars van der Haar, and here comes Sven Nys with the rainbow bands everywhere. Round the middle, down the overshoes, round the shoulders of his jersey. It's all about second place now. Bearing in mind, however, that cyclocross puts such huge demands on chains and everything else that you just don't know until you cross the line that the race is yours. Talked to one of the mechanics before this race who said that straight after this race in the sand, new chain, without doubt, new cables on every single bike that these riders have. And most of these riders have at least 3 bikes, tons of spare wheels. Probably got as many spare wheels as a small pro team. Vantanu kicks it up the climb. You have to wonder how some of these riders feel the day after a cyclocross like this, because you're just left and right on the bike all over the place. You constantly have to ride the way the body's moving. Lars van der Haar has to get off the bike because he's held up there. Francis Moray trying to close the gap. Vinci Bosmans as we come back round. How quick is this man lapping? 3 laps to go. Niels Albert's lap time, 7 minutes and 6 seconds that time. So his laps started to be a little bit more consistent. The last few laps, 7:09, 6:55, 7:03, 7:06. Last time his advantage was 28 seconds on Tom Musen. We'll see whether he has opened up a little bit more of a gap on the chasers. I think the advantage is going to be a definitive yes as they cross the line now, and their gap is now 51 seconds.
Die gaat relatief aansluiting te krijgen bij het groepje van Klaas van Tornhout, maar ook Wim Pauls wat probeert op te
Sven
schuiven.
Nys has made his way back to the chasing group. He is about to make contact with the back of them, and that group now led by Francis Moray, as Rob Peters is the rider who crosses the line that time in 12th place, followed by Thies van Amerongen of the AA Drink Squad. Here's the leader, Niels Albert, 3 laps of racing to go. Oh, there's a little bit of disagreement here. Sven Nys very unhappy with the rider in front of him, not having a good day. Niels Albert safely over the top of this climb again. Jumps easily onto the bike, goes to the left-hand side and lets the traction take over. Francis Moray then, the chasing rider, rides for FDJ. Sven Nys, you can just see the motivation is not 100% there after the problems he's had.
Terwijl we stilaan dan ook ook hebben voor de situatie van van Niels Albert.
So whilst Niels Albert is onto the flatter sections of the course, and Sven Nys is desperately trying to catch back up again. One rider choosing to take a totally different line is Vitsi Bosmans over there on the left-hand side of the screen. He's deciding he wants to run at the bottom of the camber. Also up here in this group is Kevin Powles, pick him out in the red and white. Lars van der Haar dropping back just a little bit now. Niels Albert goes through this hairpin bend and accelerates away. Francis Moray, followed by Val Slaben, followed by Vantenhout, followed by Kevin Powles. Behind them is Korn van Kessel. Lars van der Haar, the leader of this series, towards the back of the group. Niels Albert onto the muddier section. As Francis Moray tries to open up a little bit of an advantage on the rest of the riders in his group. Lars van der Haar is dropping way back in this chasing section now. He needs to make sure he finishes up the podium here ahead of Val Slaben if he can. The point situation, van der Haar leads with 160 points. Val Slaben is in second with 135. Kevin Powles also on 135. Vantenhout on 115. Niels Albert is down in 6th place with 90 points. Just to give you an idea of the point situation though, in terms of how many points you get, Lars van der Haar for a win has got 2 sets of 80 points. If you take second place you get 70, third is 65, fourth is 60, and so on. As they started that descent then, Francis Moray had a little bit of a problem. There's a few riders who are starting to get tired now, and the errors are creeping in. But it's Val Slaben who is taken to the front, ahead of Francis Moray, ahead of Vantenhout, ahead of Powles. As Lars van der Haar had to really kick the bike there. Sven Nys, on the other hand, decided to go and say hello to a few of his fans on the left-hand side of the track. He's not having a good day. Kevin Powles, wearing number 4, trying to track his way through that group as we see Val Slaben, 2 national champions together, the German champion and the French champion. Vantenhout, Kevin Powles, Bart Arnouts of the AA Drink Squad jumps across to try and get on the wheel. But this man is doing all the damage. That's 2 mistakes Francis Moray's made on this lap as he loses the wheel of the German. 26-year-old German goes over the top and now jumps back onto the bike. Lars van der Haar is starting to drop away a little bit. He's been totally unbeaten so far. 2 laps of racing to go, 50 minutes completed, and Niels Albert is the leader. If you're watching this and you're thinking that Niels Albert is now just ticking over and quite composed, he's just completed a 7-minute and 1 second lap, which is his 2nd fastest lap of this entire race. 2 laps to go. For those of you who are would like some information on some of the riders in other countries apart from those that we're seeing, as we welcome Valslaven across the line in second place, 55 seconds down. For the British viewers, Ian Field is in 30th place at the moment, and Jonathan Page of the United States of America, if you're an American fan, is down in 32nd place. Lars van der Haar now has had a bit of a problem, and Sven Nys is riding away, and van der Haar, I'm not sure, hasn't broken a shoe or something. He's having to make some adjustments, and he's unable to go with the change in the pace. He's really having to ride hard to try and come back. So Lars van der Haar was 1 minute 21 down on Niels Albert that time. It's such a strength-sapping, technically difficult course.
Gezwint het tempo van de wedstrijd en Albert de Noven dan over in de achtervolging. Filip Valslaven met assistentie dan over.
Come on, Kevin, come on.
Niels Albert onto the climb yet again. Started the opening World Cup with an 11th place and then took 6th place last time, so this so far is his best performance of the year. In World Cups, Lars van der Haar is dropping away. Don't know what sort of problem he's got. Francis Moray, 17th overall in the World Cup. Finished 4th last time, looking like he might get on the podium. Valslaven followed by Moray, followed by Kevin Powles. Powles, of course, finished 2nd in Valkenburg. There he is, right-hand side. Sven Nys making a little bit of a charge now. Listen to the crowd as they see the world champion. He's had trials and tribulations in this race, but Sven Nys now ignites the crowd. Here's the chase for 4th and 5th place at the moment. Kevin Powles and Sven Nys, followed by Bart Arnouts, followed by Tom Musen. Behind him is Klaus Vanternoot, and Lars van der Haar is no longer here. Must be some sort of mechanical problem. The question now is whether Sven Nys can get himself onto the podium. Last time we had a World Cup here, Nys won ahead of Albert, ahead of Francis Moray. Right now we are looking at Niels Albert winning, Moray is vying for 2nd place, and Sven Nys is now making a massive charge to try and get across. Oh, he's not happy with that. Kevin Powles is all over the place. Sven Nys had to be held up there to get back. He had to right himself. Bart Arnouts goes over the top onto the descent, followed there by rider number 9, and that is Tom Musen, who has been involved in all the action today. Don't be surprised if the world champion finishes on the podium. So Niels Albert jumps back onto the bike. Moray now senses the opportunity to finish in 2nd place here as he goes onto this descent, followed by Valslaven. But this man, Sven Nys, is desperately trying to get back, and the crowd are urging him to get 3rd place. They really want to see him on the podium today. He's had to stop, he's had the early lead, but now he's trying to come back to everyone. Valsleben working left, right. He's going all over the place. Sven Nys goes round that left-hander and he can see everyone in front of him. So it's Valsleben, followed by Murray, followed by Kevin Powles, Sven Nys, followed by Tom Neusen, followed by Bart Arnouts behind them, Klaas Vantenhout behind them as well. As Niels Albert uses the barriers at the side of the track to just keep himself going. And now Francis Moret being attacked by the German. This is a thrilling battle between two national champions for second place. Kevin Powles now leaves Sven Nys behind, who's suffering again a little bit. Tom Neusen in 9th place, and he goes through.
Come on, get it!
It's been a thrilling competition between the chasers. There's no doubt Albert is the leader and is head and shoulders above everyone else, but the rest of these riders are giving everyone else, giving the fans so much to cheer on. They're absolutely loving it. The noise around this course is incredible. 1 lap to go. Niels Albert is the leader of today's race. He was the world champion in Koksijde back in 2012, and he's come back here to now try to take the victory. That lap was one of the slowest laps, in fact, his 3rd slowest lap of today's race. Well, only two of the 8 laps he's done have been any slower. But he's calmed down. Now he can accelerate round the final lap, riding an intelligent race. Oh! And we have a problem for rider number 8 there, and that is Vitsi Bosmans. And he's really come down very, very hard. 1 lap to go for the chasers. And it's a group of riders. We might see a bunch sprint for second. Vantenhout goes back out on his final lap, followed by Van Kessel. Maybe him and Lars van der Haar just gave it a little bit too much gas early on. Lars van der Haar still working hard. I don't know if he had a broken shoe or something, but Vitsi Bosmans is definitely in a little bit of trouble here. He did crash pretty badly. So he's pretty shaken and down on the ground. They're just going to have to make sure that everyone gets safely past him. He hit the barriers on the right as he went down the descent. The crowd giving Niels Albert a standing ovation. Now Francis Moret goes on the attack, but look at that, ominously placed is Sven Nys in 3rd, followed by Valsleben. Francis Moret is desperately trying to put himself into 2nd place in this World Cup. The Frenchman attacking. He finished 3rd, as we've mentioned already. Now Sven Nys attacks on the right-hand side. Look at this. He senses the podium place. And he's now going to go past everybody on the right-hand side. This is thrilling racing from the world champion as he now picks the bike up. Well, he's had all sorts of trouble today. He was standing by the middle of the track a while ago, looking down on his bike, but somehow I can hardly hear myself through the crowd as they cheer. He goes into 2nd place. Last time in the World Cup here, it was Sven Nys the winner. Albert was in 2nd place. Moret was in 3rd. It looked like now it could be the same 3 on the podium, just in a different order. Niels Albert goes round that right-hander, that switchback, and accelerates away to go to the top of this climb. Hardly has to get off. This is the World Cup leader, Lars van der Haar. He's had a few problems out there today. He was leading for a while. You have to remember, this guy's only 22, and so far, he's been unbeaten in this World Cup. Moray now starting to suffer as he goes back, and he might not finish on the podium. It's Valsleben, the under-23 world champion from 2009. The 26-year-old German is in second place. Now they've got to track the way down, and Valsleben almost makes a big mistake there. Sven Nys goes round the switchback. This crowd are going absolutely mental. Listen to this. Oh, Nys comes completely to a standstill, and Valsleben takes advantage of it. Moray's just looking at the wheels, just thinking, I need to finish on the podium here. Kevin Powell sitting in 4th place in that group. But here is Niels Albert. He was the world champion in 2012, in 2010. Well, Sven Nys has got a sprint on him, so is Francis Moray. This chasing quartet working their way round the ruts. Niels Albert just righting himself, decides to get off the bike, and now just jumps back on as he gets to the top of that little rise. It's Valsleben. Philip Valsleben, can he take a podium place? He might move himself up to be the leader of this World Cup ahead of Lars van der Haar. Well, let's hope Lindsay Gosmans is okay. They've strapped him onto the stretcher now. He really took a very, very heavy tumble at the bottom of that descent. So, this is the chase. Onto this rise, and it's Philipp Valsleben, the German, who goes left and right. Sven Nys just staying there in a bigger gear. Francis Moray is ready to pounce. Kevin Powell has a few little issues as he goes over that little bit of sand. Niels Albert now looking for the finish line as he's having to run all the way through this little section. Gets back on the bike safely, kicks the feet into the pedals. And now Valsleben is attacking him. Sven Nys is going with him through the pits. Francis Moray is looking like he might finish outside the podium place if he can't go with it. Niels Albert goes down the descent through this little section now with the two chasers as Valsleben looks around and says, I don't know if I want to take Sven Nys all the way to the finish line. Moray is looking to try and set this one up. The FDJ rider, he's on the wheel. He'll just stay there and he'll just try and jump past these riders. Valsleben knows he doesn't want to leave this one to a sprint. All these points are so important. Niels Albert, though, has got the measure of this course as Valsleben now tries to leave Moray and Sven Nys behind. Moray goes and makes a little bit of an error, but Niels Albert's got time to put his hand in the middle of the bars, kicks the bike over that little rise, looks around, don't worry Niels, you've got loads of time. He's going to get off the bike, he's going to jump back on, he does a little bit of a dismount like you can almost do in horse racing sometimes. Niels Albert has time to get off, get back on again, he crosses the line in 1 hour 4 minutes, he's the winner, but now it's all going to be about the finishing sprint. Who's going to take it? Francis Moray. He takes the lead through there. He's a very, very good sprinter if he needs to be. Moray now goes round the right hand and look at this. It's going to be a three-man sprint for the finish. Moray's going to go for it. Valsleben is trying to stay in the wheel. Sven Nys isn't able to go with it. Moray takes second place, and in third place is Valsleben. That's your top three. That's a thrilling race. Tom Musen now heading up towards the finish line. He was involved in the action early on. But by my calculations, we could be seeing Philippe Valsleben move up into possibly the lead.
Een zevende plaats voor Bart Arnolds dan ook. Die momenteel nog strand op 1 minuut en 5 seconden. We gaan naar de
Klaas van Tenoet sprints in. But Van Kessel just, I think, might have overtaken him. He did. So he's 1:13 down. And here's the leader of the World Cup, Lars van der Haar. A bad day at the office. He shakes his head, says, yeah, not my day today. Well, to be fair, Lars, you've won 2 rounds so far. Next rider going to come home is going to be Ties van Amerongen of the AA Drinks team. In fact, just ahead of him is Rob Peters, we haven't seen all day. And everyone else sprinting in to the finish line.
Het nummer 25, dat is Niels Wubbe. Dan hebben we op de 14e plaats Bart Hullens. Die wordt 14e.
Niels Albert wins in 1 hour 4 minutes 50 seconds. He was 31 seconds ahead of Francis Moret at the finish line, 32 ahead of Valsleben.
15e in de uitslag van deze wereldbeker. In ieder geval prachtig.
I think he's pretty shaken by that crash. He's wrapped up with the foil blankets on. They've put him in a collar and he'll get some good care. Heading up towards the finish now, Marcel Meisen of Germany. Behind him is the New Zealander. Coming up. Swiss champion crossing the line now. For those of you looking for the American Jonathan Page, who of course has had broken rib over the last few weeks, he's finished 31st. Ian Field of Great Britain has finished 28th. And everyone now heading towards the podium to congratulate Niels Albert. Look at this, got off, got back on again. He enjoyed that one. He takes his first victory in the World Cup this season. And in the pits, it's going to be pretty busy. Cleaning the bikes off, getting rid of the sand, getting the bikes ready to at least be tidied up during the next hour or so, and then looked after by the end of the week.
Elke voet dan ook binnen een 3-tal minuten voor de ceremonie protocolaire.
Here's the result then. Niels Albert wins for Belgium ahead of the Frenchman Francis Moret in 2nd place. Philippe Valsleben in 3rd place for Germany. Sven Nys was in 4th after an interesting day. Kevin Powell's in 5th and Tom Musen in 6th. Lars van der Haar down in 10th place today. At least he's still in the top 10, having won the first 2 rounds. Pick out some of your riders. Enrico Franzoi was in 15th place for Italy. Well, let's take a little look then at the highlights of today. Sven Nys, the world champion, was the early leader. Lars van der Haar right on his wheel, going with the moves. There was a few little crashes here or there, and as the race continued, we started to see the real cream rise to the top of this race. But interestingly, some of the podium finishers were still a long way back. Klaas van Tenoet took a faceplant into the sand. Tom Musen went on the attack with Niels Albert, but it was Albert who started to press home and left Tom Musen at this point riding away with a supreme effort. Sven Nys had a few problems today. There he is, just looking at his bike, having to put it on the shoulder and dropping all the way down the standings on this lap. Francis Moret, the Frenchman, he's finished third overall here before. He's been looking very, very good early on in the race and started to make his way towards the front. Sven Nys at this point looked like he was out of it as Val Sleben went head-to-head with Francis Moret. Van Tenoot had recovered from face planting in the sand and he was sitting in fourth place. Well, as the race continued, Sven Nys was somehow tracking his way back to the chasers, whilst Niels Albert opened up his advantage, and this man had a really heavy crash. We hope he's all right. He's been put in a collar, Vitsi Bosmans, and he's being looked after. Well, Niels Albert continued with his pacemaking, whilst Sven Nys delighted the crowd and made his way into a possible podium position. But at the finish line, it was Niels Albert who won here in the World Championships. All smiles as he crosses the line. The sprint was between the Frenchman and the German, and Moret finished in second place. Well, the World Cup standings, my calculations just a little bit out. Lars van der Haar will hold on by just a slender 2 points ahead of Philipp Valsleben of Germany, Kevin Pauws in third and Niels Albert in fourth.
En dat is altijd moeilijk om uw favoriete rol echt waar te maken. Maar Niels Albert van in het begin van de wedstrijd is constant mee vooraan. En eigenlijk van in de derde ronde.
Well, this crowd really understand their cyclocross. They've thoroughly enjoyed watching these races today. The atmosphere, I'm sure, will continue. Well, as always, we'll hear from today's winner, Niels Albert, his thoughts on what actually happened out there on the course today. He seemed to get everything absolutely right.
Niels Albert, many congratulations. There's a special meaning to the victory gesture you made. Explain.
Koksijde is a little bit from me, but also a little bit from Paul. And that's why I did a special on the finish line.
You forgot to open your shirt though.
Yeah, but the finish line was a little bit shorter than in 1949. Yeah, that's why I didn't make the shirt open.
Fantastische demonstratie. Je ging vroeg en je hield vol.
Ja, het was wel een beetje nerveus zo vandaag. Ik weet niet wat dat was, maar Koksijde is toch altijd zo'n beetje, ja, voor mij toch wel, dat blijft zo'n beetje een WK zo. En ik had toch wel de nodige stress vandaag, maar eens dat ik eigenlijk vertrokken was en het goede gevoel te pakken had, was er geen houden aan vandaag.
Mixed gevoelens met de val van Wietse Bosmans die je voorbij ging in de slotronde?
Ja, ik weet niet. Ik heb Wietse niet gezien in de slotronde. Ik heb hem niet zien liggen. Ik heb net alleen vernomen van Christophe en ik weet niet wat met Wietse is. En als het erg is of niet erg is, dan hoop ik gewoon dat het snel beter is. Want hij zou zo wel een van mijn vaste trainingsmakkers zijn in Spanje volgende week. En ik heb hem toch wel nodig voor op kop te rijden.
Bedankt en tot na het podium.
Oké, dank u wel.
Interesting thoughts then from Niels Albert as he makes his way now to the podium.
Dan ook van burgemeester van de bussen, schepen van Sporting. Daar biedt dan ook
the next round of the World Cup will be in Namur here in Belgium on the 22nd of December. We then have the 5th round in Zolder on Boxing Day, followed by a round in Rome in Italy on the 6th round on the 5th of January, and we complete the World Cup in Nome in France on the 26th of January.
HLN.be, 7 dagen op 7, 24 uur op 24 uur. Kan u op de website gaan kijken wat er allemaal gebeurt in de wereld en uiteraard ook in het veldritwereldje. Met morgen al een nieuwe manche van de superprestige.
I'm told that the round of the World Cup in Rome is going to be pretty spectacular. So if you're in Italy on the 5th of January and fancy watching cyclocross, That is the 6th round, so the penultimate round there in Rome. Practicing the dismount from the bike. So we're going to move on now to the podium presentation. Two teammates side by side. Now you get an idea of the extent of the crowd here in Koksijde.
Dames en heren, wij gaan over tot de huldiging van de Wereldbeker Cyclo-Cross UCI 2013-2014 Koksijde. Mesdames et messieurs, nous allons commencer maintenant la cérémonie protocolaire pour la Coupe du Monde Cyclo-Cross UCI. Hier in Koksijde op de 3e plaats. 3e plaats, Philippe Walsleben.
In 3rd place, the German champion, Philipp Walsleben, 32 seconds down on today's winner.
En de zonen en de bloemen voor Philippe Walsleben. 2e plaats, 2e plaats, Francis Mouret.
In 2nd place, a very popular 2nd place, Francis Mouret, the Frenchman.
die de grens oversteekt dan ook om hier de Duinen te gaan trotseren. Deze Francis Mouret mag uiteraard dan ook van onze hostesses dan ook hier vandaag de bloemen in ontvangst nemen. En de nodige felicitaties uiteraard dan ook van de schepen Dijwind en ook regengouden dan ook geweest van de bussen. Klaar is dan ook om de huldiging af te werken.
Le vainqueur, de winnaar, Niels Albert.
And the winner today, from Belgium, Niels Albert, takes the victory here in Koksijde.
En de zone voor de winnaar. Uw applaus voor Niels Albert.
Hoogstwaarschijnlijk een van zijn meest gelukkige momenten van dit seizoen. Hier in zijn eigen Koksijde als ereburger dan ook overwinning te kunnen behalen.
Mogen wij nu de aandacht
There's the podium there for Walsleben, Mouret and Niels Albert.
Winnaar Niels Albert 2, Francis Mouret 3, Philippe Walsleben, dames en heren.
Voilà, dames en heren, met het kuifje in de wind dan ook zijn publiek gaan begroeten dan ook hier als laureaat van de 3e manche van de Wereldbeker.
En nog even naar voren voor de foto's natuurlijk. En ik zou nog graag een daverend applaus hebben voor deze 3 tenoren. Niels Albert, Francis Mouret en Philippe Walsleben.
There's the podium then, as they celebrate today's racing. Walsleben, Mouret and Niels Albert, who during his victory salute recalled races in history, which is always very important to continue thinking about the history of bike racing here in Koksijde. Well, we've had some great racing here in Koksijde today, as these fans enjoy things. And we saw some of the British riders taking part earlier today, and I'd like to dedicate today's commentary to Jeff Shergold, who was 30 years a British mechanic who passed away this week. We'll leave you with a celebration of Niels Albert. A great day in Koksijde from me, Anthony Crossan, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.